last year. But I am in downtown Ironwood, and we have an anti-Trump protest happening today in part of the Hands Off movement. The area is typically pro-Trump, but much very happy to see that downtown Ironwood really showed up today, and we have quite the crowd. We do have some Cybertrucks and some Teslas that are driving by trying to show off, but we have quite the crowd tonight. So let me turn this around and let's go join the crowd. Let these vehicles pass. Let's go join the crowd and see who's on the stage.
Medical and disability benefits for the benefit of veterans who suffer from chronic illnesses related to their military service, from Vietnam to the Gulf War. It would include World War II veterans and
my nose run.
In any event, now bear with me. I'm just giving you a piece of it now. There are about 18 million American military veterans in the country. About 5.5% of the national population. There's about 532,000 veterans in Michigan, 319,000 in Wisconsin. These are VA numbers I pulled off their website. At the end of last month, there were 933,820 pending Veterans Administration claims. 244,000 of those were classified or claimed as backlog, meaning, according to the Veterans Administration's own criteria, they are more than 250 days old. More than 250 days old. from being medical center. Medical and maintenance supply stores. Curtailment of individual patients. We're going to go back to the days when the Vietnam veterans were backlogged and died while waiting for VA. Okay. Our former the armed forces himself and buddy with the chainsaw.
And they're used to help protect cancer.
Are necessary to prevent fraud, waste, and abuse. Tell that to the veterans medical care that's on a waiting list for 145 days. Just a few things about our community. Yes, Clancy was shot down over Vietnam. And he makes fun of us. Donald Trump criticized former President George H.W. Bush, who himself was shot down over the weekend. Okay. Contact your elected officials. Your congressman here is Jack Burton. Himself is decorated. I'm not endorsing him.
They take my wife's Medicare.
Himself
She's gonna
is a
die.
decorated
He
Marine
deals
Corps
with a blood
veteran.
clot in the
He
stomach.
should be sympathetic to the needs of the veterans.
I haven't been able to hold a job. They take my two kids. My two kids are gonna starve.
It's Don Tiffany over there. Open up for a bit.
I feel a revolution coming. What's gonna happen? Sooner than later.
One last thing. In the United States Armed Forces, there is a custom called the dignified transfer, whereby skilled in line of duty overseas return home to Dover Air Force Base and are accorded full military honors.
Sweetest guy you'd ever
The
meet.
Commander-in-Chief traditionally, personally, attends the return of these deceased servicemen and expresses his condolences to their families with an award of the Order of the Purple Heart.
And I'm so
Last
scared for him.
Thursday,
He works
this
three
is just the
jobs.
day before yesterday, 4 of our servicemen returned from Lithuania who were killed in a training accident. They came back to Dover Air Force Base with full military honors. And you know where our Commander-in-Chief was? He was in Mar-a-Lago in a golf tournament and a dinner, a benefit dinner for his wife. That's the regard that he has for veterans. Okay, it's time for me to get off the stage. Thank you for listening. All right, thank you, Sam. Next up, we have Paul Sterno. Many of you know Paul. He's a local attorney specializing in elder care. He's going to talk about proposed cuts to Medicaid and Medicare.
Medicaid and Medicare. Shout! Can't hear you! We can't hear Paul! I'm sorry, but I can't. I told my dad, Mom, it's the tantamount of having swastika on my nose. I don't want it in my house. That is how our Constitution begins. My daughter realized that this is smart like our opponents with a sense of David. Rather take heart in the words of optimistic philosopher Emerson. He said, my country, right or wrong, when right should be kept right, when wrong should be put right. So, on behalf of all of the Americans, 70 million who receive Medicare, 70 million Americans who are on Medicaid. Let us organize, pay attention, stand up, and make our healthcare system the best in the world.
All right, and next we have Carol Erickson. Carol. Carol is a retired educator, and she's going to speak about cuts to the education budget and possible elimination of the
I'm gonna try. Okay. How many of you came through the public education system? How many of you have degrees higher than high school? How many of you have children or grandchildren in the public school system now? How many of you value the education you receive?
Louder! Can't hear you.
Can you hear me? Okay. How might the end of the Department of Education affect us and our children and our grandchildren? Federal funds come to the states for educational programs to help balance inequity between wealthier and poorer districts, so smaller and less wealthy districts have a better chance for equity in the education they provide. Michigan bases education funding on property taxes, and we know how unequal they can be across the state. But it also uses a percentage of our sales taxes and an education tax. And still, Michigan needs federal dollars to even things out. Programs like Title IX, Title IV, and Title I all stand to be discontinued. This affects disabled students, students with English as a second language, special needs students, transgender students, girls and young women, free and reduced lunch programs, summer lunch programs. Students will go without the help they need to succeed, and many may go hungry. Something we know affects learning. It may become easier for discrimination on the basis of sex to happen in our schools. Head Start's Region 5 headquarters was suddenly shuttered this past Thursday. That covers Michigan, Wisconsin, Minnesota, Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio. How many preschoolers will now come to kindergarten lacking the skills that could help them succeed?
Too many.
Too many. How many folks here have had children go through the Head Start program? We love Head Start. Professional development for teachers may be affected. CEUs are important for many educators, and now those programs may not be available. Teachers may have to pay out of pocket for such required training. And how many educators can afford that? And then we have the colleges and universities being punished for student protests or using their First Amendment rights. And really, that's part of the bedrock of the college experience.
Yes.
For those of us who went to college, I think we can say we were not indoctrinated to a liberal way of thinking. We may have learned how to think critically, but that is not a liberal or a conservative skill. It comes into play. It comes into play in education programs, in history degrees, in science degrees, in physical education degrees, even culture. But removal of funding for research programs and student grant programs and student loan programs begins to limit who can obtain a college degree or even a 2-year degree. And then we have the shutdown of the Institute for Museum and Library Services. A single funding source for many libraries beyond local tax revenue that provides all sorts of added benefits to small and rural libraries like the ones in Ironwood, Bessemer, Wakefield, Mercer, Water. It provides internet access, interlibrary loans through Melcat, summer reading programs, after-school programs, sometimes even free tax preparation is provided by IMLS. All that humanities programs through NEH have been curtailed. That means, for us, the Michigan Read program will end. It brought us the chance to read books like The Women of Copper Country, The Firekeeper's Daughter, and What the Eyes Don't See about the Flint water crisis. All of these attacks on areas of education from K-12 to higher ed to public libraries are all attacks on access to information. And what happens when the public is restricted to the information they can obtain? They become less educated. They become less curious. They become less able to solve problems. Maybe they give up and accept that knowing less is all right because they need to concentrate on feeding their families and making ends meet. Maybe they stop thinking critically, reaching conclusions from what they read and see and hear. Maybe they become more susceptible to propaganda. We have to ask ourselves, where do we see these kinds of behaviors? In autocracy.
Yes.
What does our government want us to become by curtailing our ability to obtain information?
Ignorant.
Yes. And malleable. What can we do now to help education in our small corner of the world? Maybe we can talk to our school board members to learn about what kinds of plans they are making to compensate for loss of funds. Maybe we can volunteer in classrooms to help needy students who have lost significant help. Maybe we can attend school board meetings to see whether they are taking steps to curtail curricula that is taught because they want to continue their funding. Maybe we can check in school libraries to see if book banning is taking place in our schools. By becoming involved in our most we may be able to curtail the worst of the effects that the current administration hopes to bring upon us. Get involved. Don't just accept.
Yes.
Use your education to keep the doors of education open for our children and our grandchildren.
All right, thank you, Carol. Thank you very much. Is Bridget here? Okay, Bridget is the co-chair of the local chapter of the League of Women Voters, and she's going to talk about the SAVE Act and some other issues. Thank you. Thank you, Bridget.
With their last name change, they may not be able to vote.
There we go.
I've been telling my mom and dad, like my parents don't want to hear it. They are not Republican voters, but they're just so sick of it. They don't want to hear it. I'm like, well, you got to hear this shit, because you're going to have your freaking passport to vote next time.
So hi, my
That's
name
the
is
way of
Bridget
supporting the
Ruble.
vote,
I'm
too,
co-chair
because
of
everybody can
the
afford
Women
it.
Great Region of the League of Women Voters of the Copper Country. I'm going to talk to you about democracy and voting rights today.
Yay! Good.
Democracy is the heart and soul of our
My
nation.
daughter's
It's the
disabled.
embodiment of our collective belief
My
in
youngest
freedom,
here,
equality, and
she's
justice.
my
It
oldest,
means that every citizen has a voice and a vote,
so I have
and
to
that
do
we
with
all have a say in how our country is governed. As James Baldwin said, I love America more than any other country in the world, and exactly for this reason, I insist on the right to criticize her perpetually. Patriotism is about more than just loving our country. It's about actively participating in its governance and striving to make it better for everyone.
Yes.
It's
Yes.
about standing up for the rights and freedoms that were hard fought for and ensuring that these rights are preserved for future generations. Democracy isn't just about voting every few years, it's about being involved and making sure our voices are heard. Our league CEO recently said that if the past 60 days have made one thing clear, it's this. Our democracy is facing a 5-alarm fire. The first 60 days of this administration have been nothing short of an unprecedented, breathtaking assault on American democracy. The League of Women Voters has fought to protect the rights of voters and expand access for those who've been left out of our democratic process for over 100 years. The SAVE Act and the recent executive order preposterously entitled Preserving and Protecting the Integrity of American Elections threaten Americans' freedom to vote
It's illegal!
and trample states' constitutional authority to run their own elections. It's about making it harder for voters, particularly women voters, to participate in elections. It requires documentary proof of citizenship to register to vote, which presents a problem to many of us married women who have adopted our spouse's surname because our ID may not match our proof of citizenship. It also calls for changes in the counting of absentee and mail ballots, giving DOJ the authority to review states' voter rolls, and withholding federal funds from states that don't cooperate with the order. The League is working with partners and legal advocates to fight back against this act and order and to defend voters from unjust restrictions on their right to vote. The current administration's Attorney General has dismantled an election threat group within the FBI. The Secretary of Homeland Security has placed key officials from the Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Security Agency, which protects our election process from cyber attacks, disinformation campaigns, and physical threats on administrative leave, and plans to lay off several hundred more. We must combat cybercrime and foreign influence in our elections. It's not just bad policies, it's a threat to our democracy and to your rights. So what do we do? It's not just about winning protests, although I'm really glad to see this crowd here today. It's about speaking up, educating ourselves, and taking action on the issues we care about, whether that's online, in your community, or at the ballot box. We can do something about it. We can stand up, join together, and make our voices heard. Democracy works best when we're all in it together. So let's make sure our government stays true to the idea of being by the people and for the people.
Yes.
If you're interested in joining the League and helping us in this fight, please talk to me or Carol Erickson or Jerry Gripper. Thanks for being here today and for standing up for democracy and our future.
Okay, I'd like to thank our guest speakers. Now I'd like to open it up to the audience. Do we have anyone out here who'd like to tell us why they think it's important to come and speak in favor of democracy? Hello, Ironwood! Hello! How are you doing today? Good. I'm here because I want to say that it's time that the government takes their hands off of our Medicare. They need to take their hands off of our Social Security. They need to take their hands off of our veterans' rights. Yes! To stand for democracy.
Hold it up to your mouth. Hold it to your mouth. Hold it to your mouth.
Apologize, I'm a little bit nervous, but
That's okay. That's okay.
I understand that this is a nonpartisan.
Put it to your mouth.
I understand that this is a nonpartisan, non-political thing. That means both Democrats and Republicans are standing here in defense of our democracy. Here we stand against tyranny.
Yay!
America does not have any kings in this country. Trans rights are human rights. When I say, point to you guys, say hands off as loud as you can. What are we going to do when they threaten the research of our scientists and our educators? Hands off! What are we going to do when they take away our Medicare and our food stamps from people that need them? Hands off! When we fight for democracy, we stand together. When we fight against tyranny, we stand against big money in our politics. Hands off! We stand for freedom of speech. We stand for scientific research. We stand for progress in our country. Hands off! I don't have a big speech planned out, but I am here to stand with the American people, for the American people. It is a country by we the people for a reason. Thank you for coming out here, and I hope that all of you continue to fight for democracy. Hey, that's Lydia Christensen. Thank you, Lydia. All right, next we have Marlene Bramer.
Hello, Marlene Bramer from Ontonagon County. I just wanted to let you know that we're here supporting Hands Off. I know that immigrants are not criminals. I know someone who is a convicted felon. Hands off immigrants. Hands off Social Security. Hands off all the stuff that's on your side. You're fantastic. Thank you. I want to mention that Representative Bergman, Andy McBroom, and Greg Markinen were all at the Meade College Board of Directors yesterday, asking them what they are doing. What were they doing there? Are they educators? Do they know anything about education? Do you think they were pushing some kind of other agenda? I do. Hands off Meade College. Thank you for coming, and I also want to say, I don't know where you were, but I never saw any other countries rape and pillage America like Trump is doing. Never.
Exactly.
When did Lithuania attack us?
Never!
When did France attack us?
Never!
Never! Never! Hands off Europe! Hands off Africa! Thank you!
Hands off Greenland and Canada!
All right.
Welcome everybody. I'm so glad you're all here. It's so crucial. And so there's just a couple things that I wanted to say that a lot of the people that are those that are pushing back against us say that we hate. We hate. But it's the total opposite. We love.
We love our
We
country!
love. We care. We have compassion. We have empathy. We care. And the only way that I think that we can turn their minds, their heart minds around perhaps, is to come up with some specific talking points and educate ourselves and see how they react to that. But what's going to happen is that we need to invite them to our table. We need to invite them to our table. There's always room for anybody at our table if they can realize that we love. We will feed them. We will take care of them. We'll give them help. We'll give them wellness. We'll give them hope.
Love wins.
Right. Thank you very much. And this is not a right versus left or a left versus right issue. It's a right versus wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
Hands off.
Yeah. Good job. Yeah. Can't hear you. Shout.
Did you get home? I suffered a stroke about 6 years ago, and it changed my life. Called up the EMS, called us here. They told me just to sleep it off. Wait for it. When you sober, Nathan will take care of it. So I laid there for 12 hours. And then the EMS said, whoops, I guess we forgot to check for a stroke. So I went in. 12 hours later. After, when a soldier said, what, 3 hours? So I went in. I got my, you know where it is. At the hospital, 10 hours at the nursing home facility, and I was, the uncle diagnosed me with, left aortic valve right here in my chest. So they scheduled that in May. I got a heart valve. Good for 7 to 10 years. So it's been a year.
Do it again. I didn't push the
Moved in with my parents. And I had another one 4 years after it went down. And I got a mechanical valve in place. Now, I don't want to take up, everyone else's time, but I mean, we got to do something.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
Hands off our Medicare and Medicaid. Hands off our Social Security. We got this. There's a lot of more people than I expected here. And I am just so happy to be out here, be part of it. So thank you.
God bless you.
So hello, can you hear me? I have a voice, but I'm Dr. Adrian Lavager. I'm a rural health physician, and I worked down in Monaco, Woodruff, and Lac-Flambeau for many, many years, and then I worked in COVID for about a year and a half, and now I live up in Upper Michigan in Wakefield, and I work for the Lac-Native Tribe. What I've seen this man go through is one of my biggest worries right now, is how our patients are going to be able to get care, and how am I going to give them care, and how am I going to get them their medication. I can already see since January how medication prices are changing, and how pharmacies are changing medications on patients. And it's going to be, I don't see anything good coming from anything they do. I try to look at it as both ways, but I just don't. Me, myself, I am a Native American. I'm a Turtle Mountain Chippewa from North Dakota. I lived on the the reservation most of my life, and I was very poor. Very, very poor. I came from a long extended family, and I became a doctor, not just because of me being a Native American, but because there was people who cared, and there was programs for kids like me who would have never left the reservation, and who did not have the money or financial space to become a physician. And so now, when they're talking about getting rid of those programs, not only just for everybody, and we're not talking about just, people like me, we're talking about handicaps, we're talking about disabled children, disabled people, vets, we're talking about people with learning disabilities. So they're affecting everything. And it's just, to me, unbelievable. But, it brings me a lot of positivity and happiness that we see people here that are fighting for what we need and what we deserve. It's our right. We are the people. We I am a servant for the people. That's who I am as a physician. As a family practice physician, I serve people. That's what I dedicated my life to, and that's what most of our, let's say, Democrats, politicians, that's what they do. They want service for people. But this is no longer about who's Democratic or who's Republican.
Right.
This is not about politics anymore. This is about money. This is about taking away our freedom. When English is now our primary language, when we cannot marry who we want to marry, when we cannot write anything, when they're grabbing you off the damn street and taking you somewhere, that's scary. Me and my husband have to have our birth certificate and our Indian ID with us, so in case we ever get stopped. That's scary as hell to me. That's over to me somewhere.
That's kidnapping.
So, we gotta have, we the people, as long as we stay on it and stay together, and I really worry about the amount of depression and anxiety I'm seeing right now. And so positive things like this is what we need to do and need to keep doing. Do not give up. I will never give up fighting and serving the people. That's our job. And we have to stand up for those people who cannot stand up for themselves. So power to the people.
Thank you.
Good job.
Bravo.
Hold on. Good job.
Okay. I'm going to be brief because so many people said so many good things that we need to think about. I just want to say that it's really obvious that the powers that be in this country want us to be ignorant, divided, unaware of what's really going on. They don't want us to read books. They don't want us to go to the library. They don't want us to be educated. They don't want us to be healthy. I live in the Upper Peninsula. I used to live as far away as you can get from Ironwood and still be in Michigan. I used to be in Detroit. But the issues are the same. We need education. We need libraries. We need healthcare. We need all of those wonderful things that America offers us. What I really came here to say is I have these postcards that came from Signs of Justice. In my Subaru that is parked down the street, I have probably a couple hundred more if anybody wants one. The idea is that on the 15th of every month you send one to your wonderful congressman, Jack Burton, or whoever you want to send it to. So anybody wants a postcard, just meet me down there by the Subaru. How are we all doing today? This is our Constitution. We have three equal branches of government, not a dictator or a king.
And I hope you all remember that our three co-equal branches of government only function when our elected representatives do their job. I have heard something this week that has been in my head all week. And it is up to all of us, each and every one, to ensure that the power of the people is greater than the people in power. Let's march.
Power of the people.
Welcome, everybody. Thank you for coming to the first ever Ironwood Indivisible meeting. Now, on whatever date that was, November 5th, we were pretty crushed, right? People went home, just didn't know what to do. We thought, it's over. Now, all of a sudden, look what we have here. When we planned this event, I personally was hoping for 30 people. So I think we made that, and I really appreciate everybody coming out, and I want to say this is a place to build from, and thank you so much for coming. Thank you, Rick. Rick was one of the people that helped get this group, when we first started bringing various groups in to set up this Indivisible event today. Do we have anybody else that'd like to speak? All right. Our original plan. Hold on.
Matt? Okay, can you guys hear me okay? Okay, thank God. This is like my first time speaking, so forgive any mistakes. I did not have a speech prepared, because I didn't know that they were going to allow people to speak. Here, I remember on election night, waking up at 4 a.m. with just this pit in my stomach. And I know that a lot of people had the exact same. Since that day, my father is a naturalized citizen, there we go, and my grandmother is an immigrant. I have woken up every single day since election day, terrified that one day that I will wake up and that my family will be in another country that they are not from. It is terrifying to think that they are taking people off of the street, that they are taking people, they are separating families, they are taking people who are citizens, legally, who have spent an unimaginable amount of money on lawyers and their green cards just to have that stripped away from them in the streets. That is a terrifying thought. And I hope that eventually it will not have to be a fear that people have to face. And I do not wish that people have to live in fear like this for their families. Another topic I wanted to touch on. There has been an obscene amount of hatred towards, thank you. There has been an obscene amount of hatred against queer people and trans people, and it is not okay.
Not okay!
I promise you, they do not have litter boxes in school. Kids are not excused. They are not getting surgeries in school. They are not being administered hormones at school. The most trans kids have a right to feel safe in their schools and to be respected and to not be harassed in the streets. We are people just like you. And it is unacceptable that it has come to this. An argument I see a lot is to keep, trans people out of the wrong factors. You are not afraid of trans women. You are afraid of men. There is different. People would not go through years of grueling hormones and therapy and getting bullied horrifically to the point where suicide rates have gone up tremendously. I, myself, have been in that place, and it is an awful, awful place to be. And I hope that we can get more protection for people. And I hope that we can eventually get to a place where people are allowed to be themselves freely without having people yelling at them, and just to be respected like human beings, like the rest of us. Thank you. Okay, can you hear me? Okay, my name is Katie Moore, and I'm born in Michigan. I'm a student. I'm a student of German history. My language is, my degree is in German language, and I have studied the Holocaust since I was 11 years old. And I want to tell you that this is what you should be doing. This is how we save our country. Because the exact same patterns that happened in Germany are happening right now. I am also a survivor of sexual abuse, and I hear you women out there that are survivors too and cannot stand having a Christian man who disrespects women in the White House. I'm also an admin for Protect Every Child. The children have rights to feel safe no matter what they are. I don't care about your orientation. Children have a right to grow up without fear. And finally, I am an ethnic minority. I am Kanaka. I am an ethnic Hawaiian. And I am afraid for myself and my mother, who doesn't look like a white person. How dare you do that to us? How dare you? Thank you for coming out here. Please be willing to have enough evidence against you to convict for being a true patriot. Thank you.
Hello? I'm a resident of Bessemer, Michigan. I have a disabled child at home. And with them dismantling the Board of Public Education, a lot of disabled children will be losing their rights at school. They will be more than likely pushed out of schools. My daughter is ADHD and is on the spectrum. My younger daughter is standing here next to me. She has been well informed. She even knows a lot of the stuff that's been going on. She even sees it and tells me, this is wrong. I've got a friend that's over here on a green card. He works 3 jobs and is a student up at Marquette University. I was tutoring him with welding. I'm scared for him right now. I'm terrified. Seeing people get just yanked off the streets. We need to rise up and be heard.
Good afternoon. I'm a retired teacher, and I want to read my sign because I'm also a dedicated Christian. I want to read my sign. Children matter. It is wrong to steal food and education
reminds me of something I heard Elon Musk talk about the other day. And Elon had the nerve to say the problem with liberals was that they had empathy. See that? That's a bad trait according to Elon Musk. You should not have empathy because if you do, you care about other people instead of caring about yourself. And when I read that, I did a follow-on and found psychologists did a study after World War II of German prisoners at the Nuremberg trials, people that were being tried for the atrocities that were committed against the Jewish population in World War II. And the one trait that they found was common among every one of those German officials who had participated in that horror was that every one of them lacked empathy. So I'm proud to say that I have empathy and I care about my fellow Americans and our immigrants and other people and what everything that brought people to the United States who weren't here originally. And to see what's going on in the country right now with people being thrown into jail, saying that if you're here on a green card, if you're here to study, you're not allowed to protest. That's not the America I grew up in. It's not the America I want my grandchildren to grow up in. So thanks everybody for coming. We were going to do a march, but we had so many people turn out and so many wonderful guest speakers that we don't want to hold you out here in the cold and the wind much longer. Darren Silkworth wants to take a group that's willing to march towards Hurley. And he'd like to have anyone who'd like to join a short march from here to Hurley to meet over on the other side of the park here in the parking lot. There's a green SUV over there, and anyone willing to do that was this is Darren in the yellow coat. And if you haven't signed up on one of our sheets, if you'd like contact information so we can get in touch with you for future events, please make sure you sign up before you go. So with that. Thank you, everybody.
Democracy!
What do we care about?
Democracy!
What do we care about?
Democracy!
What do we care about?
Okay, hold on. We got at least one or two more speakers, so hold on, please.
We have some kids who'd like to speak. Give them. It will help to hear them if you will calm your conversations down to a silence. Speaker can only be so loud. If we honor them with our silence and receptive listening, we will become more united. Thank you.
Hello? Hello. I am a 16-year-old queer student. And I have seen discrimination against my fellow peers. I've seen sexual assault. I've experienced it myself. And there are people who, there are people who are genuinely hurt by this. Well, obviously. But you need to realize that if nothing else, you keep going. You stay here. You do not give up the fight. I've experienced enough discrimination. I am sick and tired, frankly, and I know my queer peers, my fellow queer friends out there are too. We are mad. We are fuming. But I am still here today. I will not be made a number. I will not be made a statistic. I am a human being, as is every other queer person out there.
I don't know. I'm kind of. I don't know. This is very awkward. This is very awkward. Us 12, and every time I think about what this nation could become, if there's another Trump after this, I want to kill myself. I don't know. I don't know. This is too
And someone came up and suggested that we finish this off with a verse or two of God Bless America.
Yeah.
Now, I got the world's worst voice, so I'm not going to use the megaphone to lead. But the group wants to start out with
America.
Stand beside her and guide her to the mountains, to the prairies, to the ocean, bright with gold. God bless America, my home sweet home. God bless America, my home sweet home. All right, I like that. Great. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for coming. Again, don't forget, if you would like to do a short march to Hurley, meet over with the green SUV over in the other parking lot there. And take your signs with you. Thank you.
I'm going to attempt to even though my back isn't the best.
Take care.
My aunt's an art teacher over here in Ironwood School.
All right. Absolutely great turnout, Linda. Especially for such a small town, and a town that up until now really has always shown as pro-Trump. This town in particular was very, very, very supportive of Trump. Last year, or not last year, but a couple of years ago actually, when Trump was first elected, Ironwood, Michigan made national news for a different type of protest. And there was someone who was making racial slurs and doing the Nazi salute and things like that. So it's nothing relatively new to this area. But what is new is, as the person said, he was expecting 30 people. I really did not know what to expect today, but I knew I wanted to get out here. And wow, our downtown is packed. I had to park down the street and walk into downtown just to get here. Very, very, very great turnout. So we will join this walk. It is very cold today. We actually had a snowstorm coming in this morning. My hands are freezing. I can't even feel my feet right now. That's how cold it is here. The wind is strong. I'm sure you guys can hear it. Yes, very cold today. We are in the downtown Aurora Street here, and we're gonna hike down into Silver Street, which is Wisconsin, Hurley area. I appreciate you passing the word, Peggy. So it looks like we have a small group coming this way, but there is a lot of people staying over there as well, the protest. Well guys, I just got an alert. My phone is at 10%, so I am going to log off here. But thank you all for tuning in, and check if your local area is doing any protests today. This is in relation to the Hands Off organization. And there are thousands upon thousands upon thousands of protests happening across the United States, as well as protests across the globe. So it is still early in the day here, and you might be able to get out yourself. So if you can, please get out there. Thank you.